Ever experienced weird sensory glitches that made you question reality? Well, you're not alone. Today, we're diving into weird sensory glitches that prove reality isn't real, and trust me, your brain won't be the same after this. Let's get right into it. Number 6, the ghost in your pocket. You know that feeling. You're sitting in a quiet room, minding your own business when you feel it, a faint, insistent buzz in your pocket. You reach for your phone, ready to roll your eyes at another notification from that group chat that won't stop planning a brunch they'll never actually go to. But when you pull it out, nothing. The screen is dark. Silent. In fact, your phone has been on the kitchen counter the entire time. Congratulations, you haven't been contacted by a ghost who's terrible at texting. You've just experienced phantom vibration syndrome. This isn't some rare, bizarre condition. It's an incredibly common sensory glitch that affects the vast majority of people who carry a phone. Your brain has become so conditioned, so neurotically trained to anticipate a text, a call, or a social media update, that it starts misinterpreting completely unrelated signals. That slight rustle of your shirt fabric, your brain flags it as a potential vibration. A minor muscle twitch in your leg must be a notification. Your brain is basically an overeager puppy that's been trained to expect a treat every time it hears a bell. After a while, it starts thinking every little sound. The doorbell, the microwave, a car horn down the street, is the treat bell. It's a sensory false alarm, triggered by a nervous system that's been taught that a pocket buzz is one of the most important events in the universe. Our brains are so desperate for that tiny dopamine hit from a notification that they'll literally invent the feeling out of thin air just to feel something. So no, you're not going crazy. Your brain is just so hopelessly addicted to technology that it started hallucinating. Reality is whatever your pocket decides it is. Number 5, the Amnesia Archway. Picture this: you are on a mission of critical importance. You launch yourself from the couch with heroic purpose. You need a pair of scissors. You stride from the living room, across the hall, and through the majestic archway of your bedroom doorway. You arrive, and then, poof. Your mind is a perfect, shimmering void. Why are you here? What is the function of this room? The only thing you know for sure is that you do not possess scissors. This infuriating little brain fart is so common it has a name: the doorway effect. And it's a prime piece of evidence that our reality is flimsier than a wet paper towel. Psychologists believe this happens because our brains create event boundaries. When you're in one room, your brain opens a mental file for that location and everything you're doing or thinking about in it. The living room file might contain watching TV, annoyed by loud neighbor, and needs scissors to open annoying plastic packaging. But when you walk through a doorway, your brain sees that as a cue to close the old file and open a new one. It's a mental refresh. It archives the living room chapter and prepares for the bedroom chapter. The problem is, sometimes your brain is a little too aggressive with its filing system. It decides that your previous intention wasn't important enough to carry over into the new scene. So it gets archived along with everything else, leaving you standing there looking at your bed like you've never seen one before. The mission is wiped from the hard drive. It's literally your brain deciding that crossing a simple threshold is such a monumental change in context that it should probably just jettison all recent short-term memories, just in case. It's not a bug, it's a feature, a really, really unhelpful feature. Number 4, your brain's screensaver. Your brain is a content addict. It craves a constant stream of information: sights, sounds, smells, textures. It hates, and I mean hates, being bored. It despises a vacuum so much that if you were to cut off its supply of sensory data, it wouldn't just sit there quietly and meditate. Oh no, it would start making stuff up. I'm not talking about daydreaming. I mean your brain will start generating its own feature-length film and pipe it directly into your consciousness. This is called the Ganzfeld effect. In experiments, scientists will create a state of perfect, boring nothingness for a person. They'll put halved ping-pong balls over your eyes to create a uniform field of white and play static or white noise through headphones to block out all distinct sound. You are now floating in a sea of sensory mush. At first, it's just blank, but after a few minutes, things get weird. The visual cortex, with absolutely nothing to process, gets restless and starts firing off its own signals. People report seeing geometric patterns, swirling colors, and even fully formed, bizarre hallucinations, like a field of flowers, a floating teacup, or a horse galloping across a purple landscape. This isn't a supernatural vision. It's your brain's internal screensaver. When the system detects no user input for a while, it just starts running its own program to avoid burnout or, I don't know, existential despair. Your brain is basically saying, well, if the outside world isn't going to give me anything to look at, I'll just pull up some old files and make my own reality, thanks. It's proof that what you perceive as real is just a constant negotiation between incoming data and a brain that's perfectly willing to doodle in the margins when it gets bored. Number 3, the secret message service. Have you ever been home alone, with nothing but the low hum of the refrigerator for company, and sworn you heard someone whisper your name? Or maybe you've stood next to a whirring air conditioner and heard a faint, distinct melody that sounds way too much like the chorus of a pop song. You're not picking up phantom radio signals, and your house probably isn't haunted. Your brain is just running its own secret message service. This is auditory pareidolia, the hearing equivalent of seeing faces in clouds or Jesus on a piece of toast. Our brains are pattern recognition machines on overdrive. From an evolutionary standpoint, it was super important for us to be able to pick out the sound of a voice from the rustling leaves of the forest. That ability to find meaningful signals in random noise meant the difference between hearing a friend call for help and becoming a tiger's lunch. The problem is, this pattern-matching software is now a little too good. It's so aggressive that when it's presented with meaningless noise, the drone of a fan, the rush of a shower, the static between radio stations, it frantically searches for a pattern it recognizes. And what's one of the most important and frequently heard patterns in your entire life? Your name. So your brain finds the closest possible acoustic match in the noise and serves it up to you as a whisper. It's also why people in the 70s and 80s were convinced rock bands were hiding secret messages in their songs, a phenomenon known as backmasking. They weren't, of course. It's just that if you listen to garbled nonsense long enough, your brain will eventually find words. So the next time your toaster seems to be gossiping about you, just remember, it's not a ghost. It's just your brain, trying so hard to make sense of the world that it's willing to invent a conversation with a kitchen appliance. Number 2, the frozen second. Go find a clock. A real one with a second hand that sweeps or ticks. Now, look away for a moment, then quickly dart your eyes back to it. Watch that second hand. Did you see it? For that very first instant, it seems to hang there, frozen in time for an impossibly long second before it finally lurches back into motion. Did you just witness a tiny glitch in the fabric of spacetime? Did you briefly develop a very specific, very useless superpower? Nope. You've just been tricked by chronostasis, otherwise known as the stop clock illusion. This isn't a flaw in the clock. It's a feature of your brain's video editing software. Every time you move your eyes from one point to another, it's called a saccade. During this rapid movement, your brain effectively shuts off your visual input to prevent you from seeing a nauseating, blurry smear of the world flying by. You are, for a few milliseconds, completely blind. You just don't notice it. To hide this blindness and create the illusion of a smooth, continuous reality, your brain performs a magnificent lie. When your eyes land on their new target, in this case, the clock, your brain takes that new image and retroactively fills in the blank spot where the saccade happened. It essentially backdates the image. So, you perceive yourself as having been looking at the clock for the duration of the eye movement, even though you were blind for most of it. That's why the second hand appears to be frozen. Your brain is holding the first frame it saw for a little bit longer to cover up the gap. Your brain is literally a filmmaker, cutting out the shaky cam footage and extending the establishing shot to make the final cut look seamless. It's editing your reality in real time, all to make you feel like you're living in a high-budget production instead of a messy, chaotic series of sensory jump cuts. Number 1, the Great Sensory Scramble. Imagine for a moment that the word Tuesday tastes like lukewarm oatmeal. Imagine that hearing a dog bark doesn't just produce a sound, but also a visual burst of spiky orange triangles. Imagine the number 4 is, and always has been, a shy, gentle shade of green. This isn't a thought experiment, a metaphor, or the result of eating some questionable mushrooms you found in the woods. For some people, this is just reality. Welcome to synesthesia, the most profound and reality-shattering sensory glitch of them all. This isn't a disorder or a disease. It's a genuine, involuntary, and deeply weird difference in perception where the brain's senses get their wires crossed. For a synesthete, stimulating one sense automatically triggers an experience in a completely different sense. There are dozens of types. Some people feel shapes when they taste food. Others see colored auras around people. For some, letters and numbers are inherently colored. The letter A might just be red, with the same certainty that the sky is blue. Scientists believe this happens because of extra crosstalk between sensory regions of the brain. Think of your brain as a big office building. In most people, the hearing department on the 3rd floor and the vision department on the 4th floor are completely separate. They send memos, but they don't barge into each other's meetings. In a synesthete's brain, however, there are a bunch of extra staircases and open doorways connecting the departments. So when the hearing department starts playing some jazz, a bunch of people from the vision department look over and start describing the music in terms of color and shape. Because for them, the stimuli are happening in both places at once. Synesthesia is the ultimate proof that there is no such thing as objective reality. There is only your brain's unique interpretation of incoming data. It's the final, beautiful piece of evidence that what you perceive as the real world is just the most popular story your neurons have agreed to tell you. And for some people, that story is a whole lot more colorful. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.